Hello everyone, welcome back to Embedded Ninja. In today's video, we are going to learn the structure of C program. Whether you are a beginner or just refreshing your C programming skills, understanding these sections is essential to write clean and structured code. So let's get started. So now we will be seeing the first section. The first section is also called as documentation section. In this section, we just use a multi-line comment and then we used to write a name of the author and date of the particular file creation and time. So what this documentation section does is it will tell what the particular file is all about, and then this documentation section also contain title of this particular file. In name section I can include my name Mati, and date I can create just mention today's date September 14 2024, and time it's around 12:07 a.m. and title to print sum of n natural numbers. So if you see this particular multi-line comment, from this multi-line comment you can come to know that who is the author of this particular file and when this particular file is created and at what time and what is this file is all about. The reason why they are using documentation section is because for example, in large code bases, if you are contributing for a large code bases, a developer need to mention the documentation. It will be easier for another developer who is just coming and seeing the code. He can, without going through all the lines of code, in the documentation section itself, he can understand what this particular file is all about. So this section is really important if you are going to write a particular C program. This is just a convention and it is not mandatory to follow. And then second section is preprocessor section. The preprocessor section is mainly needed for the C program because in this section only we include the header file. For example, if I'm including the header file stdio.h, this particular header file is really important in order to take an input from user and print the output in the terminal, because it contains important functions like get printf and scanf functions. So these are some few built-in function present in this stdio.h header file. So think of preparing your toolkit. By including header files, you are bringing in all the function and tools you need to make your program work. So without preprocessor, our C program will not work. So header file is nothing but it is a pre-made functions. We are just using them, but these pre-made functions are written in some different language. We are just importing using header files. And next section is definition section. So the definition section is where when we need to use any constant or macros throughout the program, even when the program is running, the value should not be changed. At that scenario, we will be using definition section. For example, if I want to define a variable with some constant value, and that particular constant value should not change even when the program is running, at that time I can define my constant value in the definition section. For example, hash define pi 3.1415. So this value will not be changed even when the program is being running. So defining constants like this help us to make our code more readable, and it is easier to maintain in the long run. Instead of hard coding the values all over the program, we can just refer the pi in the definition section. And next is global declaration section. So in the global declaration section, here is where we will be declaring all the global variables and the functions that are accessible throughout the entire program. A variable declared here is called as global variable. It means that it can be used by all the functions in the program. For example, if I'm creating a function called a and I'm returning any value, it can be anything, but currently I'm not writing any logic, I'm just returning 19. So, and I'm going to declare a few variables here. This is a global variable. 12. So these variables are now outside the function, outside the int main. So whenever any functions are outside the main, it is called as global function and global variables. All this are present under global declaration section. And the next section is main function. So now actually we come to the heart of a C program, because this is where our program starts executing. Every C program must have a main function. Inside this function, we will be writing the code that the program will run, like whatever logic we are writing, it should be inside this main function. Even if we have any function outside, that function name should be called inside this main function in order to execute the function correctly. So without main, we cannot run our C program. Main is very important. Main is the entry point of C, because whenever we run, our compiler will search for this main function. So main function is very important. We cannot skip this particular section. Even the documentation section is not mandatory, but main function and this preprocessor section are mandatory. Definition section, it is also not mandatory. It is, we can use the definition section according to our scenario of the particular program. And after the main section, whatever functions or subprograms we are creating, we can call that particular section as subprograms or user defined functions. So a subprogram or user defined functions are mainly used that to create a specific task or logic we can write inside this function. The reason why we are using function is, in order to avoid writing that code multiple times, we will be using a block of code and then that logic is wrapped into a function. So this is how a particular C, whenever we write C, this is how our particular C program should look like. It is good to write a documentation because it will help other developers whenever they come and interact with our file. And also it is mandatory to include preprocessor, and definition section is not mandatory, but it can be used according to our need. And global declaration section, it is also not mandatory. If we want, we can include in a global declaration. If you want a variable to be available throughout the program, we can declare them outside the main, or else we can include everything inside the main function so that it is only accessible inside the main function. So if you understand this video, you can hit a like and share this video to your friends. And thank you for watching this video. We'll be learning more about C program in upcoming videos. Thank you.